ABC and Hulu and Disney.
The Justice Department faces another wave of criticism after releasing more of Jeffrey Epstein's case files. More than 3 million pages of documents and images related to the convicted sex offender were posted on Friday. A top justice official says the review is now complete. Others say much more material needs to come out. Scott McFarland has been reading through the many documents. Scott, good morning.
Adriana, good morning. We're still working our way through the millions of pages that were released more than 40 days after the legal deadline for the Department of Justice to share the file.
Oh, yeah, I didn't cover the Trevor Noah. Jokingly asked Hillary Clinton, how did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? Trump was also very mad at Trevor Noah in general. He was very, very mad. Daily Show host Trevor Noah on Thursday in an interview with Hillary and Chelsea Clinton jokingly asked, how did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? I have to ask you a question that's been plaguing me for a while. How did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? Asked Noah with the laughter from the New York studio audience. Because you're not in power, but you have all the power. I really need to understand how you do what you do because you seem to be behind everything nefarious and yet you do not use it to become president.
The agency insists its work is done, but that's only fueled more controversy. The millions of pages of Jeffrey Epstein materials show the prominent men who were once in the disgraced sex offender circle, including these photos of former Prince Andrew on all fours over an unidentified woman on the floor. Queen Elizabeth's son has denied all wrongdoing, but British Prime Minister...
It's unbelievable that there's this international pedophilic cabal of financial elite and incredibly unimaginably wealthy, unimaginably powerful individuals, and every single fucking right-winger... every single conspiracy right winger is basically going along with Pizzagate was real. Remember Hillary Clinton? And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? I mean, yeah, sure, Hillary Clinton, absolutely, but also lock in, motherfucker. Ain't nobody out here is defending Hillary Clinton, but you're the one who's only hyper focusing on Hillary Clinton in an effort not to talk about, Donald Trump. Let's be real. I've spent some time going through his emails. I always thought the elite are racist, but mostly keep it to themselves. He's so disgustingly Jewish supremacist that it broke my brain. He's doing race science shit with Chomsky. He refers to non-Jewish as cattle, anti-Semitism fuel. Yeah. I need people to understand something, okay? When I talk about Judaism or it being separate from Zionism and shit like that, I don't mean that there are no Jews that believe Judaism and Zionism is married to one another. Of course, there are plenty of Jews that feel that way. And the same thing goes for Jewish supremacy, right? Just like there are white nationalists and white supremacists, there are Jewish supremacists as well. This is not weird or unique. The only thing that's unique about Jewish supremacy in general is that it's not an equivalent to black people, black liberationary movements and things of that nature, because black people have been historically marginalized. And while Jews have been historically marginalized, Jews in contemporary society are not systematically marginalized at all. They can be victim to hate crimes, but that doesn't mean that they can actually be, that they're systematically cast out from polite society or from, levers of power in the way that black and brown people are. Anyway, my food is here. Hold on.
Keir Starmer called on him to testify to Congress. And this appears to be an email from Elon Musk to Epstein in 2012 asking, what day, night will be the wildest party on your island? Sent 4 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. Musk, who repeatedly has called for the release of an Epstein client list, denies any wrongdoing. Writing over the weekend, if I actually wanted to spend my time partying with young women, it would be trivial for me to do so without the help of a creepy loser like Epstein. The new documents also show Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick arranged a visit to Epstein's island with his wife and children in 2012, after which Epstein passed along this message to Lutnick. Nice seeing you. But late last year, Lutnick said he had cut off ties with Epstein years earlier.
My wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
On Friday, Lutnick told the New York Times, I spent 0 time with him. A Commerce Department spokesman said Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. Other emails show New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch asked Epstein to connect him with women. In a May 2013 email, Epstein invited Tisch to his mansion late in the evening. Tisch responded, "Can I expect trouble?" In a statement Friday, Tisch said he and Epstein exchanged emails about adult women, adding, "I did not take him up on any of his invitations and deeply regret associating with Epstein." President Trump consistently has said he kicked Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club and ended their friendship 2 decades ago. And while there are hundreds of references to Trump in the trove of newly released documents, the president claimed they further exonerate him.
Not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left.
The Friday release was only partial, just more than half of the projected 6 million pages. But the Department of Justice now says the review is over. A new statement from Epstein survivors said this is not over. We will not stop until the truth is fully revealed and every perpetrator is finally held accountable. A major issue in this release, dozens of unredacted pictures of young women's nude bodies and faces. The New York Times flagged at least 40 explicit photos to the Department of Justice. Meanwhile, CBS News has learned several lawmakers are demanding immediate access to the records, Vlad, to check if the department is illegally withholding any files.
All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Overnight, the survivors calling on 2 New York judges to provide emergency relief and shut down the Epstein Files website immediately after a number of them had their identities exposed. Writing, DOJ committed what may be the single most egregious violation of victim privacy in one day in United States history. DOJ officials say they work to correct any mistakes when they become known.
Every time we hear from a victim or their lawyer that they believe that their name was not properly redacted, we immediately rectify that.
But the emergency request includes this quote from a person whose name has never been divulged before, saying, "I've never come forward. I'm now being harassed by the media and others. This is devastating to my life." The documents also raising serious questions about why Jeffrey Epstein was given such leniency after investigators initially uncovered potentially breathtaking criminal activity.
It is just this incredible, deep, visceral level of frustration and disappointment and sadness and grief.
Released for the first time, the original prosecution memo from a DOJ lawyer in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami in 2007, showing that federal authorities had uncovered evidence pointing to the broad scale and depravity of Epstein's molestation and exploitation of girls and young women. According to the memo, FBI agents discovered that Epstein arranged for massage appointments for girls and women ranging in age from 14 to 23 years old, with victims receiving a finder's fee of $200 if they recruited other girls. The memo goes on to warn that Epstein represented a continued danger to the community based on his continued enticement of underage girls. Federal prosecutors initially wanted to charge Epstein with at least 60 felony counts, but in the end, Epstein was offered a deal.
Damn. I got the chicken harissa, and this shit is bomb as fuck, bro. It's actually insanely good. Like, shockingly good. At fucking 1 a.m. in the morning, too.
Where he served only 13 months of an 18-month prison sentence on Florida state charges, even allowed to work in his office during weekdays. President Trump's name comes up thousands of times in the Epstein files, mostly in news articles, but also in emails written by Epstein himself. The newly released files also include records of unverified tips to investigators, including some uncorroborated information pertaining to Trump and other high-profile individuals. The two men had a falling out, and the president says he cut off contact with Epstein decades ago. DOJ officials have said the allegations regarding President Trump are false and do not come from credible sources. The new documents are also placing even more scrutiny on men who we've known spent time with Epstein. Among the thousands of new photos released, these never-before-seen images of former Prince Andrew, who was stripped of his royal titles last year over his relationship with Epstein. Now seen here, crouched over a young woman, her face redacted, the date and context of the interaction unclear. Representatives for Andrew have not responded to a request for comment, but now the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is calling for Andrew to testify before Congress. Epstein was freed in 2009, and the newly released documents show he continued to communicate with some of the most powerful men in the world. The newly released documents show in 2012 Epstein emailing tech billionaire Elon Musk, allegedly discussing plans for Musk to visit Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. In one email, it appears Musk asked, quote, "What day night will be the wildest party on your island?" Musk says he never went to the island, and this weekend said he has long advocated for the release of files. Epstein had been cozying up to some of the most influential men on the planet since the 1990s. All have denied any wrongdoing and any knowledge of crimes or Epstein targeting children. So much collateral damage to so many, and it's becoming clear that every prominent person who spent time with Epstein is likely regretting it. George?
Pierre Thomas, thanks.
Oh, you think?
The FBI just dropped 3.5 million files, and it is incredible. Huge bombshells about some of the most powerful people on the planet. I can't believe they let some of this stuff out. I mean, it is stunning. Honestly, one of the biggest lies we've seen is the idea that the FBI could possibly come to us and say, not only is there not a client list, there was no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. Guys, we're about to see planned blackmail to one of the most powerful people on the planet, and that is Bill Gates. Listen, there's a lot we're gonna get to, but we have to start with probably the craziest revelation here, which is Jeffrey Epstein emailing himself about Bill Gates. Now, if you don't know, Bill Gates and Epstein had a relationship post 2008. That's a big year. You're going to hear a lot today because 2008 was the time that Epstein pled guilty for soliciting of somebody under the age of 18. He was a predator at this point. Everybody knew it. Now, eventually, Bill Gates would get divorced when all of this came out. Melinda Gates said it was part of the direct cause for the divorce. She said she met Epstein and said he was evil.
He was evil personified.
So you have to understand, this is like Bill Gates' kryptonite. He's one of the richest men on the planet. He's got this huge philanthropy arm. But this relationship with Epstein has been a huge problem for him. And Epstein appears to have known that because in 2013, Bill Gates appears to be distancing himself from Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein seems to have a problem with that. He says, "I assume the dedication to our relation went both ways. Larry has now asked me to recommit to a confidentiality agreement." Basically, he's got to shut up about his relationship with Bill Gates. And this is where the blackmail starts. And it comes in the form of like, if I were you, I would do X if I were the type of guy that you should be. He says, "In that regard, I suggest I buy you the house that you had your heart set on. In addition to 5 years of severance, we'll buy you out of the investment contract we agreed upon, 30 to 40% of an $100 million partnership for $30 million in today's terms. That's what I would have done had I been in your shoes." Then he lays out what he has on Bill Gates, or what he says he has. Quote, "To add insult to injury, you subsequently, with tears in your eyes, implore me to delete the emails I had regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you could surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your I mean, this is insane. It's completely insane. It's like basically laying out in text form, I would give me millions of dollars, and I can't believe you're asking me to delete the message where you were going to give STD medication to your wife without her knowledge. I mean, it's complete. It's crazy. It's just completely obvious what he's doing here. It's just a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Here's what you should do. But now that coming out after Epstein's death, this looks really bad for Gates, obviously, because you usually...
Dude. Bill Gates goes to Epstein Island and does allegedly what we all expect him to do at Epstein Island. Gets an STD, finds out that he has an STD far too late, and may have given said STD to his wife. His wife doesn't know, obviously, that, you know, he's cheating on her with sex trafficked possible minors. So he reaches back out to Jeffrey Epstein to be like, "Hey, do you know what kind of like antibiotics that I can secretly dose my wife with so she doesn't find out that I cheated on her?" That's the story here. These people are such freaks, brother. I mean, I've hated Bill Gates since COVID for going to AstraZeneca and making sure that, like, the Global South did not get those patents for free. He's been a real piece of shit for a million different reasons. So this just confirms my suspicions all over again. I mean, it's not even a suspicion. Because what he did then was objectively evil. Because he was worried about what that could do to IP in general. Yeah, big finance guy, Jeffrey Epstein, by the way. God. Isn't it crazy how fucking hard every single normalizer fell in their face on this issue? Like, whether it be ContraPoints or Ezra Klein or all these people that are like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, Jeffrey Epstein was just like, he was ferocious. He had a ferocious appetite. Just him, though. All these other billionaires that he was linked up with had nothing to do with the sex trafficking. I promise. It's very interesting. Because these guys, like, they look at a situation like this, and in their minds, this has to make sense. Like, they can't not live in a world where, like, these fucking billionaires are evil, that the system is designed this way, right? It's crazy to me that, like, the normalizers that say, no, that's all crazy talk. Here's what the reality is. Have to quickly rush to tell you, like, what you can see and what your suspicions are here are actually totally ridiculous. I promise. Just listen to me. Okay, well, how can I listen to you ever again? You know? Of course, these guys will never be punished for these bad takes because their job is to deliver takes like this.
You start this episode where I am on the Epstein story. If you force me to give you my best guess, given what we know, I think this guy had a lot of very powerful friends. I think this guy was a predator and a pedophile on an extraordinary scale. And I think those sides of his life were mostly separate. I don't think there is a list of bold-faced names somewhere. I think I should say, before I start this episode, where I am on the Epstein story. If you force me to give you my best guess, given what...
Ain't nobody was forcing you, big dog. Ain't nobody was forcing you at all. I say this, and I like Ezra a lot more than I like some of these other fucking centrist weirdos. But one must examine the tendency to immediately think, no, this is conspiracy, this is crazy. These guys that are directly tied to people that, you know, finance me and stuff, like, they can't be evil. Because if I'm being as charitable as physically possible here to Ezra Klein, which many of you will get mad at me for doing, I think that's the point. He's like, well, listen, I think personally that these guys that fund the abundist movement, they can't be all that bad. After all, they pay me. And it seems like a big chunk of them are directly affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, as were many financial elite. So I can't believe, personally, that these guys are bad. Wait, since when do you like him? I just think that despite the fact that he's wrong all the time in spectacular ways and in ways I talk about all the time, in a weird way, he's like, he's just too polite for me to hate him too much. Because, like, all these other political operatives are so goddamn vicious and so monstrous, not just to me, but just in general, that his like kind liberal shtick works on me. I'll admit it. You know, it doesn't work on anybody else, but it works on me. So I'm telling you why. I know why. That's why I maintain charitability.
Blackmail somebody for something that's completely false or fake. I mean, maybe he did that. But we also know Bill Gates had affairs. Obviously, Melinda credits it for their divorce. So it's hard to believe there was nothing sketchy going on. Bill Gates, of course, maintains that it was completely above board. He says the fact this allegation was in here just shows how much Epstein was willing to defame people. But Epstein lays it out. He says he helped Bill get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, and to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. Look, guys, this is exactly what we suspected the whole time. Epstein was providing services to rich people and expecting payment via blackmail. Now you might say, and it's true, that we don't know that Epstein ultimately sent that version of an email to Gates. All we know is he sent that to himself. He may have planned the blackmail and just been drafting something. But what we do know are two things. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Gates was threatened by Epstein over an affair. We also know that after this blackmail email Jeffrey sent to himself was written, eventually Gates sent a $2 million donation to MIT directed by Jeffrey Epstein, which is a bit weird if you had distanced yourself from the guy and y'all had this big falling out. Now, again, do we know for sure that Bill Gates...
It's so funny because, like, what's been shocking to me is how Nick Fuentes has reacted to this, I will admit. Because, like, in a way, he's almost exactly like Alex Jones, right? Like, Alex Jones says, like, there's a pedophilic cabal of libtards that are, like, dominating society and doing crazy sex rituals. Turns out it's real, but Alex Jones can't fucking say anything about it because all of his buddies were doing the sex rituals, right? And the same thing almost goes for Nick Fuentes as well. Like, for Nick Fuentes, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to max out on anti-Semitism, right? Like, Jewish guy who like talks about, you know, Goyim is a horrifying international sex criminal pedophile that was clearly working with both the CIA and also Mossad, and was also securing contracts for the state of Israel, right? And what is fucking Nick Fuentes doing? Selling Jeffrey Epstein merch and talking about how the only problem with Jeffrey Epstein is that he's Jewish and not that he was like doing fucking blackmail for Israel or sex trafficking minors necessarily, as though if a Jeffrey Epstein was Christian, then he'd be fine. Nick's Nazi friend reacted by trying to get a dunk on you. Hasan Piker spent his entire career running cover for Israel by blaming classism and fascism just for the Epstein files. I read from Jeff Worship is Baal to Bibi Netanyahu. Fuck Goyim is Jew not bring hot wasp girls and let's scam the world. Usury because Goy are cattle. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, these guys unironically are like, no, you don't understand. They're organized along the lines of being Jewish and not organized along the lines of, like, promoting Israel's interests. But I don't give a fuck about Jews, big dog. I care about fascism. I care about Israel. This is no different than the way that these guys used to do the Kahanas posting, where they would find like a Kahanas guy in like the in a fucking crowded room or something in like a synagogue talking about how like the Goy are cattle, and then they would post that to be like, this is what all Jews believe. No, they don't. You're talking about a very, very specific person, right? This is, you know, this is not indicative of the entire international Jewish movement. Just like Nick Fuentes is not indicative of the entire Christian movement around the globe, right? Like, how many fucking Christians oppose Nick Fuentes? Now, you might say, well, Hasan, there is a far larger percentage of Jews that don't oppose this kind of ideology, which I think is probably not correct, than there is Christians who oppose Nick Fuentes. I think there's fascists of every background. Okay? There's going to be Jewish fascists, there are going to be Christian fascists. I oppose not the Judaism or the Christianity of the fascists. I oppose the fascism. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Did all of that? No, of course we don't. But do I think Bill Gates was innocently looking for charity advice from a after he already pled guilty? No, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not that gullible. And speaking of not that gullible, we've been lied to also by another richest guy on the planet. Geez, it's a shock why they don't want to put this out. Elon Musk, who has been saying for years that it is a lie that he went to Epstein's island. In fact, he says he refused to go. From Elon, he says, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused. He says, anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete
Okay, I'll be honest. It kind of was, maybe Elon was saying like, oh, Epstein tried to make me go to the island by talking about how there's like young girls there. And it was really enticing for him, you know? Because it doesn't, when I look at those emails, it doesn't feel like Epstein is trying to get him to come that hard. But he is mentioning that there's like young girls that are at the island. So I guess maybe if you're a pedophile, that's like super enticing as an offer. You know?
Later responding to another headline which said Elon Musk planned trip to Epstein's private island, and he says this is false. But of course, we start to dig through the files, and we can see on Epstein's calendar that Elon Musk is booked in December 6th of 2014. But maybe you don't believe that. That's just the word of Jeffrey Epstein. But maybe you'll believe the word of Elon Musk, who was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein to go to his island post the guilty plea. Elon Musk writes, "Will be in BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Good time to visit." Jeffrey Epstein says, "I will send a heli for you." Later, Elon Musk writes to Epstein, probably just to Lula and me, his ex-wife, what day night would be the wildest party on your island? The world's richest man is asking the most pedophile man for the wildest party on his island. And then it gets more explicit. In 2012, remember, this is the guy who said, I refused it. I could never do that, right? It's false. But here in 2012, he says, do you have any parties planned?
Pedocon is a theory like gravity is a theory, boys. You already know. I mean, let's be real. I mean, these guys are all bipartisan. Okay? They're all fucking bipartisan. There's no Democrat, there's no Republican. They just run the country. They run the planet. They don't give a fuck. Also, another judge me by my enemies moment, by the way. As you guys know, Elon Musk is an op. And as I've said over and over again, spend any amount of time being an op of mine, and you are inevitably going to find yourself outed for sex crimes. I don't know why that's the case. I don't know why it works that way. But that is something I can stand on. It is a consistency that I have seen. It is a consistency that I have lived through. Many of you have as well. And I don't know why that's the case. But I guess I bring some vibes to the table that like a lot of pedophiles hate. You know, I bring vibes to the party that really piss off a lot of fucking pedos.
I've been working to the edge of my sanity this year. I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Guys, he can't even play the I went to go study math excuse, which is what all these guys do. They say, hey, I just went to go talk to scientists. Elon's like, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm looking for a party. That's what I'm here to do. And then Jeffrey Epstein writes, understood, I will see you on St. Barth. The ratio on my island might make your ex-wife uncomfortable. I can't believe these guys are lying to us and people are swallowing it still, thinking that Elon Musk had nothing to do with this guy. So again, that's 2012. That's 2014. But guess what? There's another time in 2013. I mean, this seems like a yearly thing with the boys. Here, once again, Elon Musk writes, we'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Again, is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein, any day, 1st to the 8th, play it by ear if you want, always space for you. They then plan some more, and you might think, well, if Elon ever told the truth, this is when he has to reject, right? Because he said, I refused. But actually, it appears to be one of those cases where, like, your friend says, like, oh, bro, I dumped her. And actually, it was the other way. Yeah, it turns out Elon didn't dump the p***. The p*** dumped Elon. He says, bad news. Unfortunately, my schedule will keep me in New York. Hopefully, we can schedule another time in the future. Jeffrey Epstein let Elon down. That's actually the real story. Is the reason he didn't go in 2013 was because he couldn't go. Jeffrey Epstein was not there. Guys, I mean, how blatant do they have to make it before we start to just see through it, right? When they issue these ridiculous denials, they're totally associated with the guy after the guilty plea. They lie through their teeth, but they can't even keep their story straight. I mean, that's what's crazy. They're not even competent at this. They get caught in their own lies all the time. Remember, the FBI's official story was they didn't blackmail. Well, before we even had these files.
Yeah, that was so crazy. How can you have any fucking confidence in the federal government from this point on? You know what I mean? What is this? A memo just went to employees at two of Musk's companies. SpaceX has acquired XAI. Oh, God.
Howard Lutnick was on the record calling Jeffrey Epstein the greatest blackmailer ever.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not?
Yeah, Vivian also corroborated this information. Tom Pritzker wrote an email. Oh, Pritzker too was like super connected. It was U.S. policy to destroy the career of any U.S. officer enlisted that objected to the rape of children in Afghanistan. In June 2011, American billionaire Tom Pritzker told Epstein that he was in a remote valley of Afghanistan with armed soldiers, toys, and boys. It was his birthday wish. General Petraeus helped out. Yep. That's our big boy's relative, isn't it? Isn't that JB's brother or dad? Oh, cousin. Can't believe you'd be so cruel to a fan. What is this?
Because I met him the other day. You can see me on his stream, on the protest stream, right around the time when he was meeting the woman from Code Pink. And, you know, I was a fan of the guy. I really was. But me and all of my friends had to do this, talking to him. I'm 6 feet tall. Without my shoes on, I'm 5'11.6". So you round up, I'm 6 feet tall. Now I had to, what do you think about the It's not fair. It's not fair.
I'm sorry.
He needs to slouch.
I'm so sorry.
He needs to do, is there a leg shortening surgery? You know, you ever see the people on TikTok, like they got the leg length thing and they're like, I'm hot now, but they're just like hobbling around. Like someone needs to do something, okay? So make his posture worse. I'm filming this video to break my.
He said, make his posture worse. Shorten your legs for the cause. No matter what we find out, nothing will come of this. What's the goddamn point? First of all, if you are not using this as an opportunity to show your friends and family members the truth about these out-of-touch billionaires and millionaires, you are delusional. Because guess what? There are opportunists out there that are using this as an opportunity to propagandize against, like, Jews in general, right? Shifting the attention away from the financial elite and the metric ton of evil crimes that they engage in and the blackmail network that that holds everything together. They're just going, oh, they're doing this because they're Jews. So there's people organizing right now to radicalize people in the wrong direction. That's number one. Number two, yes, even if justice is not served in this process, and I don't believe there will be justice served, let's be real, because there's a reason why these guys talk so openly about their sexual deviancies and their illicit activities, their heinous crimes against humanity. And that's because they're billionaires. And they know that they are untouchable. And unfortunately, for the time being, they are. But if you want to design a future where they are no longer untouchable, you got to work extra hard. This is how you get people on board. Okay? You tell them, don't you feel like it's kind of crazy that all of these like rabid anti-communists are all pedophilic sex traffickers and financial criminals that are constantly talking with one another about like ordering new children and other sex trafficked women, adults as well, to rape and abuse, while in the process of also like selling, I don't know, Israeli surveillance technology to other countries and shit? Don't you feel like that's a little strange? All these people who like fucking hate communists, they all just like get off on, I don't know, complete dominance and also pedophilia. I mean, seriously, if there's one group that's like virtually untouched, unscathed in this, it's like Marxist-Leninists for the most part, okay? Sure, he met with Fidel Castro one time, that's it. I mean, let's be real. That's straight up. Because people will be like, there's no Muslims on the Epstein files. Bitch, of course there's a shit ton of Muslims on the Epstein files. What are you talking about? The fucking UAE is all up and down. UAE is Epstein's major partner beyond Israel. MBS is on there too. I think even the Qataris to a certain degree are involved. There's hella Muslims on the Epstein files, big dog. Everybody's on it. Because Epstein is a representation of American hegemony. Okay? Yes, I said ML specifically because Chomsky is not a fucking Marxist-Leninist. As a matter of fact, he's like my first, the first break-off point for me with Chomsky was his criticisms of Lenin. Okay? If you've ever listened to Chomsky speak on Lenin, you already probably feel a certain type of way. I have, at least.
See what you saw, or did they see it and ignore it, or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, you know, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Interesting. Okay, so Howard has a different perspective. Now, if you don't know, that guy, do you think he's...
Bro, he's so slimy. Oh my God. Howard Buttlick is so... What a fucking slime bag. Remember 9/11, okay? This guy literally farmed his own company to get a fat 9/11 payout, okay? He successfully sued the airliners and was able to get a ginormous payout. And then he did not distribute the funds evenly to the victims and instead took over by majority share, took over the trial awards and pocketed it. Is the stream crashing? Is bro glitching? Wait, what's happening? Am I still glitching? What about on YouTube? Am I glitching on YouTube, chat? Just the screen audio is fine. Is the video still effing? There have been new recordings of Epstein talking to Ehud Yarak. Ehud Yarak. Oh, that's awesome. That's a Turkish chatter. Saying Ehud Yarak is so funny instead of Ehud Barak. Yarak means penis in Turkish, but like a very vulgar way to say cock. And it also happens to sound like Barack. There have been new recordings of Epstein talking to Ehud Yarak. Epstein is giving him details about high-value, high-influential people in America. It sounds like Yarak is trying to make sense of it and even trying to write down their names. Yeah, I know. We're going to cover that in a little bit. Yeah, there's also this, I give you permission to kill him. But I don't understand. Why are they fucking protecting the person? Like, there ain't no way that Jeffrey Epstein and this other person are having a conversation about, like, killing someone, and then they hid the fucking name. Somebody uncensored this? Who is it? Is it Benjamin Netanyahu? Is Susan Hamblin? I saw a tweet saying, is Susan? Yeah, these guys are so horny to do redactions. They fucked up on the redaction on this one. The response back that Epstein got from the center originally was redacted name Olga Exposed. Finkelstein the goated. Epstein and Dershowitz reached out to Finkelstein, but he called them pedos and threatened to strangle them. Wait, no, there's no way this is real. Sworn testimony of Jane Doe 3. What is this? Epstein is a person of integrity who should be given credit for serving. My guess is if Epstein put your daughter at age 15 in such a position, you wouldn't publicly describe him as a friend and a person of integrity. In fact, I would hope that you'd promptly throttle both Epstein and Dershowitz. Sworn testimony of Jane Doe 3. Wait, how do we know this is at Finkelstein? Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz was around Epstein frequently. Dershowitz was so comfortable with the sex that was going on that he would even come out and chat with Epstein while I was giving oral to Epstein. Even as a person as you is impossibly ignorant on their place in the world, and y'all don't take responsibility and revolt to your nation's actions as Yankees while being one of the most armed populace of all time. Fuck all y'all. Oh my God, brother, I know. Okay, we are sedated. We're working on it, man. We're working on it. What do you want me to do? You're coming to the one fucking group that is like aware of all of the horrifying actions that the American government is contributing to and yelling at them. We know, man. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? We know. We're trying. We're fucking cucked. Saw some people claim Fidel Castro had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein to blame away from the financial elites on the communist leader. That claim collapses under the latest leaked emails, which indicate Castro showing him to be an enemy of sex traffickers. Yeah. Obama White House counsel was helping Epstein on how to answer questions. You in the files? Brother, I'm 34 years old. If I was in the Epstein files, I'd be a victim. You know that, right? Like, if I was in the Epstein files, I would be in the files as a victim. I think you are. Okay, man. The one in the Prince Andrew photo? What? Are you rage baiting about, like, pedophilic rape? Is that the joke that you're engaging in right now? Like, haha, you were raped as a child by Prince Andrew? That's your joke? Kind of weird, man. All right, let's continue with
Telling
this.
the truth there, even this guy who's contradicting the official narrative, this guy literally lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. This guy who's like, I'm going to tell the truth. Those guys participated. That guy lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, he lied too. I love this video we're about to get into because this guy, Mr. He's the greatest blackmailer ever, does he know something we don't know? Because it's interesting. Mr. I am his neighbor had to also explain how he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And he lays it out pretty simply. He goes, yep, I lived next to him, but in 2005, I had such a horrible experience that I knew I could never talk to him again.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
We move in 2005, okay? Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. And there's a massage table in the middle of the room. Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her. And we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Well, he could have.
Cap. Also, we know that's a lie now, but I do want to point out that this podcast that is the New York Post podcast called Pod Force One is the one where JD Vance talked about me and Kaya. Just something a little fun for you guys. That's the same podcast, Pod Force One. God, these guys do propaganda poorly too. They can't do anything right.
More clear, could he, right? He says, hey, I may have been his next door neighbor, but I met him once before the 2008 guilty plea. Remember I said that was a big deal. And we got invited over and it was like 5 seconds and we left and we realized he was a creep. We were out of there. He made this rude, lewd comment in front of my wife. I would never go see this guy. I mean, he makes it super clear he's gross.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
These other guys, they may have participated.
They participated.
But Howard Lutnick, he could never. No. He's too good of a guy. Well, guess what we found in the old emails? Looky. It's Howard Lutnick writing in to Jeffy Boy in 2012. Hi, Jeff. We're landing in St. Thomas early afternoon, planning to head over. Where are you located? What's the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? Is this the guy you said made a lewd comment to your wife and, oh, I could never be in front of him. He's gross. Guess what the next email is? My boy's wife messaging in, saying we're headed towards you in St. Thomas. Later, the subject line, Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass you along. Nice seeing you. They clearly met, and the guy is just lying about it to your face, to the American public's face, and they tried to hide it from us. I cannot emphasize this enough. They're lying through their teeth. You think this guy perfectly remembers a
Have you seen that dumbass theory on X that Mamdani's Epstein's son? Jeffrey Epstein is like, I'm a self-described liberal billionaire who routinely collaborates with neo-Nazis and fascists. I love the liberal world order. I love Steven Pinker. I love basically every fucking major donor to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. I love the duopoly. I love bourgeois capitalism. I love bourgeois democracy. Okay? I hate the dictatorship of the proletariat. I hate communism. I think all communists should be dead. And then, after all is said and done, you got right-wingers being like, that's Zoran. Here's the AI photo of Zoran. Here's the AI photo of Zoran. I believe it now. You see? See, Jeffrey Epstein was Judeo-communist. And then they're like, oh, there's a photo of him with Fidel Castro. It's just like, you have to be the fucking dumbest person on the planet. I swear to God. You have to be the dumbest person on the fucking planet. Okay? It's like Yanis Varoufakis has told me that his name was mentioned as well in the Epstein files. They were reading and sharing a lot of materials that they were reading with one another. Just because someone has had limited contact at some point doesn't make it the same. If you want to fucking yell about someone, yell about fucking... If you want to yell about someone, yell about Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky was a whole-ass pedophilia advocate, okay? My man was manufacturing the age of consent. That was the consent he was manufacturing. I'm sorry. I think Noam Chomsky's writings are very important. I still think Manufacturing Consent is a great work, okay? But let's be real. My man was a libertarian socialist, okay? That's just the case, all right? There's a difference between someone who is supposed to be my ideological ally and me openly recognizing that they were engaging in a ridiculous, extensive, quite intimate relationship with an international sex trafficker for both Mossad and the CIA versus like a one-off that Zoran's famous director mom, as a part of like the New York elite, went to a party that Jeffrey Epstein also was at. Okay? And then to expand on that, to be like, well, very clearly Zoran's mom is like deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And not only that, but Zoran himself is deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein. You're a fucking idiot. Okay? You're a complete psychopath. Jeffrey Epstein was basically butt-fucking Donald Trump. And you're over here being like, but what about Zoran? I imagine that Zoran was also a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. You know? The fuck? Ehud Barak and Jeffrey Epstein are taking turns fucking Trump in a sex dungeon somewhere. And these guys are like, don't look at that. 7,000 emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak being like, I love doing espionage for the glorious state of Israel. We should sell more surveillance technology to Mongolia. We should sell more Israeli surveillance technology to Kazakhstan. I love doing espionage for the Mossad. You are my best friend, Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. I love doing Mossad activities. And people are like, don't worry about that stuff, okay? Don't worry about that stuff. That stuff is irrelevant. It's negligible. Focus on made up shit that I made up with my mind. And it's the same thing with like the Pizzagate losers, okay? The fucking Pizzagate losers, like, what are you saying? Or the I hate Goyim shit too. It's like so fucking stupid. Yes, dude, he was a fucking Jewish supremacist. How is this shocking to you? He was a sociopathic monster. Okay? I can't believe I'm about to say this, but this is yet another tendency of people looking at like not the in-group. If Jeffrey Epstein is a white Christian and he's talking about this, you know that doesn't reflect on all fucking white Christians. But because Jeffrey Epstein is Jewish and talking about Jewish supremacy, you think like, oh, well, all Jews are doing that. All Jews are Judeo-supremacists. It's not the case. I have no interest in fucking defending this shit. Okay? Focus up. Focus on the actual fucking problems here. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein is a Jewish supremacist. Wow, shocking revelation. He's also an international sex trafficker that was blackmailing the financial elite at the behest of Mossad and the CIA. Hello? Are you fucking stupid? Do you have a brain issue that this is like, you think this is the largest revelation here? I can't believe the guy that literally wanted to put his penis in a fucking like a glass canister to preserve it in perpetuity was also a guy who had crazy eugenicist opinions about Jews. Wow. I am shocked, I tell you. What a shocking guy. What are we doing? Are we canceling him? Are you fucking stupid? It would be more shocking if he wasn't. If he was woke, it would be more shocking. You understand? If he was not like, if he was an anti-Zionist, it'd be shocking. This is the anti-Semitism we were talking about for months to have come as a product of Israel mind-fucking everyone. I know. That's what's so frustrating. People that think like the major takeaway here is that like all Jews are up to no good are fucking stupid, okay? Focus on the real problem. Israel is the real problem. You're a fucking moron, dude. And I don't give a fuck who defends Israel. If the overwhelming majority of Jews are in defense of Israel, then they're fucked too. If the overwhelming majority of Christians are defending Israel, then they're fucked as well, okay? But Israel is the problem here. This is what's frustrating to me. What about the Putin connection? That's also not very surprising. Putin himself is also very connected to Israel. Israel is a fucking pathway for all of the Russian oligarchs to be able to enter the European markets. They all have fucking dual citizenship with Israel. And not only that, but Russian is the third most spoken language in Israel. Or fourth, I guess. I guess technically it's Hebrew, English, Arabic, and then Russian. You're technically right, but is proportionality not something to consider? No, because it doesn't fucking matter. Because I am a fucking Marxist. I do not organize along boundaries such as the people's religious opinions, dude. What are you talking about? You guys hate Idpol and love talking about how fucking silly people are when they're like, when people talk about like black separationists or whatever. You love maybe getting a little heavy-handed when talking about black separationists, as a matter of fact, about how like dangerous or radical it is. Okay? You aggressively tackle identity politics of other sorts, but don't realize when you're engaging in it. I'm talking about Zionism. Yeah, I know. My analysis will always be structured around class. I don't give a fuck about tribalism. I think that's idiotic. It's not only idiotic, it's unproductive, and it's a distraction for no reason. Okay? And people who love hating on identity politics will literally do it in the reversal. You love saying, oh, wow. Don't say all men are trash. You get really up in your fifis. But then you turn around and go, well, proportionally speaking, a lot of Jews are Zionists, so fuck all the Jews. Okay, well, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't give a fuck what someone's background is, okay? I don't give a fuck what someone's ethnicity is. I don't give a fuck what someone's religion is. I care about their perspective. I care about their advocacy. I care about what they're defending. Israel is indefensible. It doesn't matter to me if it's a Jewish person defending Israel, if it's a Christian person defending Israel. My point is going into the feelings rabbit hole when doing agitprop to normal people in our lives. I've tried and they just like zone out. What do you mean feelings? it doesn't, I don't give a shit about, I don't combat anti-Semitism because I care about Jewish feelings. I combat anti-Semitism because it's a bigotry, because it's unproductive, and because it's a fucking deflection away from the main point of contention. Okay? When have I ever given a shit about the feelings of the in-group that I'm defending? I mean, black people have called me white supremacist over and over again when I was shitting on Nicki Minaj back in the day, a point that I was vindicated over a million times over. Did that stop? Did that change my perspective? No, it didn't. You do care a lot, to be honest. Yeah, I care so much that I became a white supremacist, right? Would you date a Christian? I have. I've dated Jewish women. I've dated Muslim women. I've dated Christian women. I've dated women of all different backgrounds and religions. I don't give a shit. Nice Bathroom says, still waiting for a happy Black History Month for all 13 black chatters and 4 black YouTube chatters. First of all, this is propaganda. Okay? As evidenced by the fact that I've been around the block, and every time I go out, we meet a ton of black fans, black HasanAbi heads, and they all say, oh, I'm the only black HasanAbi head. It's like, no, bitch, you're not the only black HasanAbi head. There's hella black HasanAbi heads. Yeah. Eddie Liger is correct. Mr. ACP. He's right on this. The Fidel Castro thing is like completely fucking ridiculous. He did not have an extensive relationship, as far as we know, with Jeffrey Epstein. And what we do know is that Jeffrey Epstein actually saw Fidel Castro as a hurdle against his goals in Cuba. Fidel Castro died. Now a lot of possibilities. Fidel Castro died. Now a lot of possibilities for me, Epstein wrote in a 2016 email the same month Castro passed. Also, he was a rabid anti-communist. He celebrated the fall of the USSR. And of course he celebrated the fall of the USSR because there was a lot of sex trafficking of young girls and young boys in the aftermath of the fall of the dissolution of the USSR. And I suspect that these guys also took advantage of that as well. So, anyway, before the Cuban Revolution, Havana was full of brothels that were frequented by Western financiers. What does not exist in the leaks is evidence of correspondence or relationship between Castro and Epstein. If it did exist, you can bet the Trump admin would have released it immediately for political purposes. The ruling capitalist elite always want to pin its crimes on communists, but in reality, socialism has historically been the strongest barrier to elite trafficking networks. Just Barack Obama's White House counsel giving Jeffrey Epstein advice on how to answer questions about Donald Trump having sex with a girl at his house, allegedly. I knew Epstein professionally and has always had positive dealings with him. I don't know about his personal legal issues. Other than that, I have read in the public reports and therefore don't have any comment. Trump is likely to be based questions soon about me. In an ideal world, what do you think he would and could say? Supposedly, a girl said that Donald had sex with her at my house when she was underage. She said she had a witness in 1993. Pottinger story 2 weeks ago. McGiver said that Pottinger wanted to meet him. I emailed back, do not meet. You are not involved. Yesterday, what is this? MacGyver? Oh, God, this guy was so fucking stupid, dude. I mean, he could not fucking spell for shit. It is truly mind-boggling how bad he is at all of this. He was just fucking... He was just letting the keyboard sing, man. I mean, it is unimaginably frustrating. He was just typing whatever, okay? He did not care about what the output looked like. He was just like, yeah, whatever, close enough. Yesterday, MacGyver sent me, Pottinger worked his way into my office to tell C2 me that, very annoyed, I called and got his feelings, me the above. Yeah, we already talked about this, but Elon Musk's daughter, Vivian, friend of the show, confirmed the St. Barth trip. Admittedly, I was first dumb enough to think he actually meant hanging out with young diplomats. Lol, lol, lol. However, after he clarified that he meant to party with young women under age 25, I still chose to work on rockets and cars. Oh, I'm such a nerd. Rock solid. I honestly believe that Elon was too autistic to understand the signals he was being given and genuinely thought it was a fun party with tennis and snorkeling. Yeah. I just wanted to totally go to a party. Oh, yeah. Comedy is legal, dude. Average Epstein email chain. This is what 90% of Jeffrey Epstein email chains look like. Mentally, we are ageless. Maybe the pipes are from hell. Do you think God is cool with smoking? I'm not sure. Can you send me a selfie? Maybe Epstein had dyslexia. He did. It's still frustrating to me. I apologize for all the dyslexics.
In 2005, like walking in the guy's house, I remember exactly what I said to him. My wife and I looked at each other, and he wouldn't remember the 2012. I boated over to his private island for a dinner. Is that what we're really thinking? Is that what we're expected to believe? This is a momentary lapse in his judgment. No, these guys don't even care about being consistent. And they're all throwing each other under the bus. Don't you remember Elon Musk saying the time to drop the really big bomb? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they haven't been made public. My guy, you also are in the Epstein files. Very clear.
Yeah, that's why he knew it. He's like, yeah, I saw him at the party. At the kid fucking party. I was there. Totally. Make America great. Dark MAGA.
Clearly doing stuff you lied about, okay? So is Howard Lutnick, who says, yeah, Bill Gates, he's probably getting blackmailed because he participated. What did you do on the island over in 2012, Howard? Do we know that? I mean, does anyone care? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is some of the most explosive stuff. It's also, again, I have to say, unverified, okay? This is the NTOC, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. And the challenge with confirming some of this is that these are anonymous tips, or they black them out at least, so we don't know who they are, and anyone can drop a tip. Now, that doesn't mean that you should disregard them. It just means we can't verify them. The other challenge is that the FBI has a heavy incentive to discredit anything with Donald Trump in it, just because he's in the White House right now, obviously. And so I want to be clear, there are notes related to some of these submissions where they say things like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate redacted. You know, it's hard to tell how much this is the proper due diligence of the FBI, which they should be doing, of course, and not all complaints are credible. But
what if Q from QAnon was originally Epstein? I mean, that's more believable than anything else. Oh, yeah, now they're cooking with gas. What is this update on Peter Attia situation? We're hearing here there's a battle royale between Paramount Corporate and CBS News' Barry Weiss. She does not want to cut ties with Attia and sees it as a given, giving in to the mob. Paramount sees it an HR matter and that Attia can't give expert advice. CBS News is expected to cut ties with Peter Attia over Epstein links just days after Barry Weiss announced them. Oh, my God, that's the other thing. Because Jeffrey Epstein is so heavily connected to the pro-Israel crowd that, you know, Bari Weiss, being an agent of Israel herself, acting in the capacity of as an agent of Israel, has understandably hired so many Jeffrey Epstein affiliates. Yeah, you blew it again, Barry. God, you can't get anything right. Bovine Barry.
Oh, there's this obvious conflict of interest with the fact that the sitting president is in some of these complaints. But here they are for what it's worth. Complaint summary. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform on...
Oh, DOJ has killed that link since then, by the way. Now, the reason why they killed that link, or I will admit, some of the stuff in there, because this is a comprehensive investigation, is going to be like crazy ramblings, right? And some of the complaints are from non-credible witnesses, or not witnesses, but like non-credible actors. And you have to parse through what's credible, what's a credible allegation, and what's a non-credible allegation. Okay? No, believe the fucking victims. Okay, chatter. That's not how this works. Okay, stop. Believe women doesn't mean believe women unconditionally, that believe or victims have no capacity to fucking get something wrong. It just means don't reflexively disbelieve them. Okay? As is normally the fucking case. Jesus Christ, dude. How are we still doing this in 2026? This is a FBI tip line. Some of the things that people are saying in the FBI tip line are just fake. You have to be an adult about this. Like, I don't think George H.W. Bush ate the fucking intestines of a small baby and ate the fecal matter of the intestines. Like, I think that's not credible, okay? And even in the FBI complaint summary, there's some stuff that they bring up that are from non-credible, like there are non-credible allegations here. Some of them are credible, though. This doesn't mean that like Donald Trump didn't do any sexual assaults. Of course he did. We know that he did. A civil court found him liable. And not only that, but also his ex-wife has talked about it too. You're sane washing them? What?
Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after
the tip lines categorize their tips by credibility. Why would they put non-credible accounts in the files? They literally have non-credible accounts in these files. They openly say some of these accounts are non-credible. What are you talking about? You didn't do the reading. You didn't do the reading. They're literally, some of these tips that he's looking at are non-credible, and it literally says witness is unreliable.
Laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was abused by Epstein. Later, there's very explosive claims about big parties with her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. There's claims third hand about a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book citing Leslie Wexner, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the videos as well. And it goes on like this for a while. Some of the complaints are just like very graphic, and obviously I'm going to censor out some of it. But I should also mention the DOJ claims that some of these claims were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had any shred of credibility, they would have certainly been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, I agree that if a complaint is timed right before an election, there definitely could be some other motivations to that. But it's also ridiculous to say that anything in the Epstein files, if it were true, would have come out already. Because why didn't we see the stuff about Bill Gates, for example? I mean, that stuff apparently has been sitting in here for a long time. And not only did no one talk about it, the FBI literally covered for it. I mean, they said that this was not the case. There are big claims against a lot of powerful people. Nobody in that file really wants to rock the boat or release.
On this topic, did we cover pizza being references? Ironically possible the calls coming from inside the house regarding Pizzagate? No, I don't think they're fucking referencing pizza when they I don't think the Pizzagate pizza references were actually child pornography or children, okay? I think that when these guys, if anything, after seeing like millions of pages of the Jeffrey Epstein investigations, we found out without a shred of a doubt that when they talk about fucking children, when they talk about raping children, they say it, okay? They say it. When they talk about pizza, it's most likely about pizza, okay? I don't understand why you think, like, in the overwhelming majority of instances, they're just straight up talking about prostitutes and prostitution, but then randomly they switch it over to pizza and cheese pizza to imply child pornography, when there's literally child pornography in the CSAM, in the fucking files. What are you talking about? Whoever believes this guy is a moron, he literally gets paid by Israel to share pro-Jew propaganda. How does it make you feel that your favorite neo-Nazi that you think is like the most honest fucking, the most honest defender of the truth is refusing to tie this back to Israel, but instead consistently talks about Jews? Meanwhile, the Israeli state is up my fucking asshole every single day in ways that they never hit Nick Fuentes on. Let's be fucking real. Nick Fuentes talks about being debanked, but the only reason why he had his finances under scrutiny was because he participated in January 6th and he got a fucking fat check from a cryptocurrency guy right before January 6th. He didn't get debanked because of Jews or debanked because of Israel. That's fucking bullshit. I love that you guys think that the guy who's selling Jeffrey Epstein hoodies are actually a serious commentator here, you know, and not actually trying to undermine the severity of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Anyone that looks at the Jeffrey Epstein situation and goes, well, this is how Jews are, is actually a fucking moron, okay? You're an idiot. You're an unproductive, undisciplined moron who doesn't understand that the real problem here is not Jews, it's Israel. Okay? Jesus Christ, the Goypers are fucking braindead? Yeah, of course they are. On the other hand, they're like, no, you don't understand. Nick Fuentes is selling Jeffrey Epstein hoodies as a filter, bro. It just shows how high IQ we are.
Because then they get in trouble and their buddies get in trouble, and that's a huge problem.
Perhaps a big part of the reason why they're mad is because the guy who fucking made 4chan poll right after meeting Jeffrey Epstein, Moot or whatever his name is, and that the entire anti-Semitic reactionary right movement, this counterculture, supposedly counterculture movement of defending white people, was perhaps also another Mossad conspiracy, and that really hurts their feelings when they hear that. When they hear that this is also that they were being duped into like unproductive mechanisms of thought, methods of thought by potentially a Mossad agent, that really frustrates them that they've been psyoped. How do they factor in Steve Bannon, Jeffrey Epstein's butt buddy? Yeah, Nick Fuentes for the past few weeks. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a pedophile. He was an ephebophile. That's why I'm selling his merchandise. Ephebophilia is based. Nick Fuentes unironically looked at the Jeffrey Epstein situation only a month ago and decided the real crime of Jeffrey Epstein was not that he was an international sex trafficker of minors. That stuff was based. It was that he was Jewish while doing it. And there are still people who sincerely think that this guy has any fucking serious, any serious care or consideration for covering these issues. Okay, he just straight up said it. He literally was like, well, you know, he was really cool. Like, you'd be a part of that too if you had the opportunity. Also, I'm selling Jeffrey Epstein merchandise. Jeffrey Epstein is cool as fuck. That's what he said. Okay? Meanwhile, a lot of these fucking liberal outlets are trying to present Jeffrey Epstein as a Russian agent, or they're trying to say, well, he talked about Putin quite a bit. Yeah, bitch, you know who else he talked to directly? Ehud Barak. Liberals and Republicans both are moving away from the Israel connections for some reason. And even the supposedly anti-Israel right, the anti-Semitic anti-Israel right, is also doing the same in their own way. I wonder why. Because there's only one truth here. And anyone that tries to move you away, anyone that tries to deflect your attention away from that one singular truth is fucking lying to you. That's it. They have an agenda. You can think in your mind that I'm trying to preserve the safety and security of Jews. That's why I'm an op, because I'm not a real anti-Israel, agent or whatever. If you want to believe that, you can believe that if you want. But there's a real reason why Israel's agents are way fucking aggressive, way more aggressive in the way that they come after me than they do with Nick Fuentes. That's because I think Nick Fuentes is basically a fucking Fed. Jeffrey Epstein traveled to Paris with the Academy Award-winning Jewish-American filmmaker Woody Allen for a pedophile convention in March 2012. Yeah, here, let's take a look at Nick Fuentes' take on Jeffrey Epstein. Nick Fuentes, 6 months ago. Jeffrey Epstein had a pedophile island and Trump is covering up. Nick Fuentes this week. This whole pedo thing. It's like, they're really pedophilia. It's not really pedophilia. Here, let's hear.
This whole pedo thing, it's like, is it really pedophilia? I don't want to be the one that has to say it, but I guess I'm being forced to say it. It's not really pedophilia.
Who's forcing you to say it, Nick?
Okay. They weren't trafficking 5-year-olds. It was like they were technically not legal. Big difference.
Also, you don't know that either, but...
In my opinion, I know that's a controversial take, but that's not really the issue there. Okay? The issue is not that they were barely legal teens, which is what it is. It's horrendous. It's awful. It's pedophilia. Okay, relax. No, the issue is that Epstein is a Jewish spy.
Look, you don't understand. If Epstein was a Christian spy that was doing international sex trafficking, then that would be good.
Probably working with Israel. That's the dilemma there. He's working with Israeli intelligence.
Yeah, I think both of those things are a problem, man. And they're actually inseparable, as a matter of fact.
This whole...
So that's number one. Here's another one.
Sometimes you got to be the villain. Epstein's my boy, dude. Let's just be honest. Epstein was cool as fuck. There, I said it. What are you going to do? Go ahead, cancel me. Yeah, I said it. Jeffrey Epstein was cool as fuck. Now what? Go ahead, cancel me. Do it. So sometimes we have to be the villain. Sometimes we have to be on a villain arc. That's okay.
He's so edgy, man.
I'll be a little unpopular. I've been unpopular before. I like it better.
He's so big.
You niggas are not ready for that conversation, but Jeff Epstein, not a pedophile, but you're not ready for that conversation. All of his victims, 14 to 17. That's not pedophilia. But y'all niggas ain't ready for that conversation. People say that's normalizing pedophilia. No, that's defining pedophilia.
Dude, he's so based. I can't. It's unfathomably based, dude. It's fucking unfathomably based, dude. It's so based. All these fucking dumbass groypers who are, just as pedophilic as Jeffrey Epstein, who are just like, no, you don't understand. The problem is he was doing pedophilia while being Jewish. If he was doing pedophilia while being Christian, he'd be fine. This is why there is this convergence between like Sex Pestany and Nick Fuentes. They've both defended this exact same thing over and over again. Maybe not on Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if Destiny has taken it that far, but they still have that same contrarian dog in them. He had a I'm not on moment because of your call out. Yeah, no, he's been crying because I called him. Dude, I'll be honest. Like the greatest counter to the Nick Fuentes Groyper movement is just to be like, brother, you are literally a manlet and you are a gay Mexican who is a white supremacist. This does not make any sense. Your own movement will inevitably kill you. Okay? There's no problem with being gay. There's no problem with being Mexican. There's no problem with being a short king if you're going to be a short king. Combine all of that with a neo-Nazi all of a sudden, though, that contradiction itself is ridiculous. It's self-defeating. And all of his fans have been getting so fucking mad on the timeline, crying. They're like, what? You can't say this. You can't say this. Why are you not being woke? You're supposed to be woke. Shut up, bitch. You're a fucking loser, too.
Far left communists called me a racially unpure, degenerate Jew lover. I was like, I was at Charlottesville. How could you say that? But then I found myself agreeing with him. I was like,
I do think he's a Israel normalizer too. I don't think he's invested in any way, shape, or form with destroying Israel. I don't think he cares about that at all. I think he just hates Jews. They're short seething. I saw one guy comparing manlet to the F slur. That's so funny. Groypers are groiplets. They're so funny.
You know what? You're right. You're right. We do need a racially pure Aryan. We do need a completely non-degenerate Aryan warlord who is sufficiently anti-Israel.
Okay, then I guess you know what you need to do. Then get into the bunker, little man, because that ain't you. Get into the bunker, little man. That ain't gonna be you. You can't change. I thought that's what it was, right? I thought this is ethnicity. This is bloodlines. This is racial purity. You don't have it. I guess you might, I don't know, try to find an alternative vision. Little guy.
Right, Hasan. True.
He doesn't have a counter for it. That's why he's coping. And for the last week or so, he's been crying, going, I'm not owned. I'm not owned. I'm not owned. Over and over again. And that's precisely the reason why all of his fucking little groiplets have been going and doing the same exact thing. I mean, look at this. This is another one of his fans. Used 4chan, invented poll, jerked off to hentai, gamer, banned on Xbox for saying the N-word, had drip, girlfriend had a submarine, groiper. Jeffrey Epstein is a groiper. He's just like me. He's just like me. This is like the Zoomer version of the fucking Alex Jones pivot, right? Guy who spends his entire life talking about financial elite engaging in a pedophilic cabal, doing sex crimes. All of a sudden, his besties are all over those files. And he's like, actually, let's focus on something else, please. It's like, brother, everything that you envisioned that Barack Obama was going to do, Donald Trump is fucking doing. Your analysis directly is prophetic about the Trump second term. And now you can't even say shit about it. And the same thing goes for these guys. Oh, Jewish cabal of pedophiles, dominating society. All of a sudden, Jeffrey Epstein, at the behest of Israel, all of a sudden it happens and they're like, well, the problem here is that they're Jewish. Otherwise, they're very cool. I want to be the Christian Jeffrey Epstein. That's what they're saying, right? They're running around being like, Jeffrey Epstein has swag, actually. He had bitches, bro. He was sick. No, I don't think he was, actually. Groyper and Ethan, same talking points. It was not surprising to me at all. Ethan Klein is now defending known neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes. Yeah, what's wrong with being a gay Mexican manlet? And it's really funny because he also, I'm willing to bet, has made fun of Nick Fuentes being a gay Mexican manlet. At least one of those things. He's probably made fun of Nick. I know he's made fun of Nick Fuentes for being gay. So it's just odd that when the opportunity arises and he has to defend, he has to attack me, he chooses to align with the neo-Nazi. Ethan Klein shared self-admitted Nazi Nick Fuentes' post claiming Hasan's ban was Jewish censorship and agreed with them. Yeah, Israel censorship regime. DHS has a list of American domestic terrorists that they surveil on the basis of their anti-Israel and anti-ICE activism. If you cover it, you get banned over frivolous rules the ADL will establish ahead of time. Surely this will make people love Israel. It's Jewish censorship, not just Israel, but you'll never go there. He knows, Nick, and he's grateful you said it so he doesn't have to. It's really a beautiful symbiotic relationship you two have. Inspiring. Ethan Klein is like, yes, prominent neo-Nazi anti-Semite Nicholas Fuentes. It is Jewish censorship, as a matter of fact. Perfect example of how libs and conservatives love what Hasan says, but hate when he says it. Zero object permanence. Woke 2.0 goes kind of hard, not gonna lie. In Woke 2.0, we're not falling for the soy nonsense. Get bent, dork. Nobody's gonna get back calling Nick fucking Fuentes a short gay Mexican. So being gay is bad? Being Mexican is bad? Being short? This is your communist king? Genuinely, what's going on with Woke? I didn't even know that there was this much of a clear-cut, immediate... God, I wish I knew this beforehand. What did you do to Ethan to cause to hate you so damn much that he side with a neo-Nazi on a horrible take? What do you mean, dude? He's Mr. Petty Grievances. Yeah, speaking of which, the menswear guy, Twitter menswear guy defended my honor. Respect. Some of the libs are waking up, I guess. Yeah, this was, I mean, pretty clear cut, but... So being gay is bad? Being Mexican, being short, that's bad? Writer here, the terms gay, Mexican, and manlet here are being used to attribute modifiers of the neo-Nazi. The writer is jabbing at the contradiction, not the traits, like saying vegan cattle rancher or pacifist arms dealer. And it's very clear that I'm doing that because he's, in the past, what I'm responding to is him saying that I'm a rich socialist. To which I responded with, I'd rather be a rich socialist, i.e. a class trader, than a gay Mexican manlet neo-Nazi. It's pretty obvious what I'm saying here. I can't believe that there's still people that are trying to hold on to this as though this is going to get me canceled. First of all, we live in an environment where if I was unironically homophobic and also anti-Mexican and anti-Semitic, that wouldn't even do anything to me. So, like, what are you arguing on? You know what I mean? It's not like people are sheltering their fucking opinions about hating Mexicans or hating gay people. So, like, you're not going to be able to cancel me on this issue, you fucking idiot. It's just so crazy. And they think that, like, they can maybe eat away at my audience who does care about these sorts of things by, like, creating this fissure as though there is one. When anyone with a fucking brain cell knows exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's get back to this pedophilia defender, Jeffrey Epstein merch wearer.
Damn, this far-left communist called me a racially unpure, degenerate Jew lover. I was like, I was at Charlottesville. How could you say that? But then I found myself agreeing with him. I was like, you know what? You're right. You're right. We do need a racially pure Aryan. We do need a completely non-degenerate Aryan warlord who is sufficiently anti-Israel. You're so right.
It's so funny. Yeah, he's not sufficiently anti-Israel, so he even admits that here. But what's so funny about this process also is that, like, he doesn't understand. These guys only operate on hypocrisy. The currency on the internet is hypocrisy. If you come across, even the mere appearance of hypocrisy is worse than the actual act. It's not bad that he's a Nazi. It's bad that he's a Nazi while also being a Mexican. No, it's bad that you're a Nazi, you fucking idiot. But the fact that you're also of Mexican descent and gay in the closet makes it doubly ironic because it's additionally suicidal, right? The problem here is that you're a fucking Nazi, you dumbass. That's the real problem.
Hasan, true. I've been saying this. I've been
like, I wouldn't sit around and be like, well, this Aryan god is a neo-Nazi and therefore he's good because he's not hypocritical.
Saying this, I am the I am heralding.
My favorite thing is that for some reason you can be canceled for this stuff, but Nick gets to defend pedophilia. There are a few single issue things for me, but I think touching kids or defending it as someone no one is supposed to get away with, and he's a hypocritical Nazi. I know. I think that's it's one of the most heinous things. Like outside of being a Nazi, I think being a pedophile or being a pedophile defender is pretty much up there. And this guy happens to hit both of those things.
I'm like the Silver Surfer, okay? I'm not here to eat the planet. I'm the Silver Surfer. I'm the minion. Okay, I'm Bob. I am just here to announce the arrival of Hitler 2.
Oh, I'm such a nerd. I love comic books.
Okay. Hasan, I agree. You are right. We need a 100% pure Aryan, no degeneracy, like, blonde hair, blue-eyed wife, 100 racially pure children. I agree. You're so right. We need that person to train ICE without the help of the IDF to destroy these people. That's so true.
Like even with ICE, you're talking about black and brown people, mostly Hispanic people, like majority Hispanic people going out and like killing white people, and you're like, no, this is good. While using Israeli surveillance, while using Israeli techniques. Like these guys can't even be consistent on fucking upholding white supremacist thought. You know what I mean? They're killing the legacy Americans, big dog. What the fuck are you talking about? The Scandinavian descent. The Germanic origin, legacy Americans that have been living in fucking Minnesota for like 200 goddamn years are getting killed. Their children are getting killed by, Hispanic ICE agents that have been trained by Israel using Israeli techniques, using Israeli surveillance technology, using the Palantir surveillance technology that took out a fucking full page ad in the New York Times to be like, Palantir supports Israel. Like, this is the most pro-Israel, pro-pedophilia administration of all time. And Nick Fuentes has to sit around and defend it because he thinks like they're actually purging brown people from the boundaries of the continental United States by the state boundaries. Good luck. Yeah, it's fine.
Why are we outsourcing our anti-immigrant task force to the IDF? You're right. Our right-wing death squads should have zero infiltration by Israel. We should have a homegrown right-wing death squad led by a racially pure Aryan. Okay, now I can agree with them on something. I don't agree with Hasan Piker on everything, but when he said we need a racially pure Aryan to have a...
Look at this cope, dude. Oh, man. He has been... By the way, he's been malding about me calling him a gay Mexican manlet for the last week at this point. Like, every single day, he's like, oh, my God, I just don't like that he just mentioned that. Yeah, we need a pure, racially pure, non-degenerate Aryan. Oh.
A homegrown right-wing death squad. I was like,
Yeah, there are multiple clips. It's hard to watch. I know. And all of his like little groypers are consistently posting it to be like, Hasan crashes out. Hasan crashes out at Nick Fuentes. And then you watch the video. And in the video, he's just like being a fucking goober, flailing around. Being like, Yeah, failing to understand the point I'm making. Nick Fuentes and the far right broke their brains with the far left. The crazy woke are talking about racial purity. The crazy woke. Maybe you should stop anchoring your entire worldview around what you think is woke and whatnot, okay? I mean, I joke about like woke and woke 2.0 and dark woke and all this shit. I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff, okay? You guys are stupid. This is what's anchoring your movement, is your resentment towards like people who are empathetic. You're a fucking idiot. Top 50 Nick Fuentes pedophile scandals. Wait, here's Nick Fuentes and Laura Loomer.
The official drink to America first. Link. To the hostile takeover of the Republican Party.
Absolutely. Well, I just hate that, I just hate that we fell apart.
To the hostile takeover of the Republican Party.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. America first, guys. America first. God, Laura Loomer looks like such dog shit. It's crazy.
I don't really buy the idea that, if it were true, it would have already gotten out. I don't buy that. That's why we need transparency. That's why it's important these files are out. But this is just a look at a small fraction of the files. And over the next few weeks, we're going to go through all of the major findings we can from this 3.5 million page document dump. But seriously, think about how discrediting this has been, not only to this administration, but to so many rich and powerful people who have lied through their teeth happily towards you in order to hide their relationship with this man that many of them held post-guilty plea. And some of them, now we know, Epstein prepared blackmail for them, and according to reports,
the latest release of Jeffrey Epstein files by the US Department of Justice contains millions of documents, thousands of still photographs, and hundreds of hours of video. Among those videos, an interview believed to have been conducted by Steve Bannon, the American right-wing pundit, former advisor to Donald Trump, with Epstein, part of up to 15 hours of recorded conversations that previously have not been published. There's at least a couple of hours of them in the DOJ files, including this segment in which Epstein discusses being a convicted sex offender.
Is your money dirty money? If you live, I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it.
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no question. Because I think about it, I think ethics is always a complicated subject. But I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio, in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me,
I thought this was fake. The DOJ only released 2 hours. I thought this was actually fucking fake. They have the Steve Bannon footage.
Let's give some basics or some things I want to do inquiry from the others. Walk me through the Santa Fe Institute.
What the fuck? Is real and is dumb as fuck.
That money should be given to these children for vaccines. I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people.
If we walked in, you're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Tier 1's the highest and worst?
No,
I'm the lowest?
I'm the lowest.
You're the lowest. Okay, Tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yeah.
Bannon can excuse pedophilia, but he draws a line at communism. Per the Epstein files, Steve Bannon was invited to go out to dinner on Super Bowl Sunday. His response is, "Are you a commie?" I mean, he's just making a joke.
Yes. That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say?
Why did Steve Bannon interview him? Steve Bannon did this deposition for him for PR purposes. Steve Bannon famously got close to Jeffrey Epstein in an effort to do PR for Jeffrey Epstein when his that is literally the reason why he's actually training him here. He's coaching him to communicate better around the pedophilia stuff. That's 100% the truth. And then when the heat turned up, Steve Bannon turned around and, oh my God, the Epstein files confirm Melania met Trump through Epstein. Oh my God, that's real too. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like everything that we have suspected, everything that we've talked about, it's all coming out. Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Epstein introduced Melania Trump to Donald Trump. Oh my God. Brother, every fucking theory is real. That's crazy. Our Queen Candace Owens is 130K concurrent viewers. You are a waiting room for her. Man, if I was fucking only on YouTube, I'd be cooking her too. Thank you for the $5 though, Potato Gun Camper. I'm a clandestine operative myself, so shout out to the YouTube chatters. Dual wielding YouTube and Twitch to artificially inflate stream numbers. Let's go, bot gang, rise up. Let's continue.
I care. I want the money for my children.
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
I think if you told them, I told them the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a...
What is that beeping? Is that happening in the video or is that happening here? Dog is Nick Shirley. Holy shit. He is actually illiterate. What the hell? He is. He's not very intelligent. Oh.
A good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
The files also appear to contain fresh documents relating to Lord Mandelson, the former ambassador to Washington, sacked by Sir Keir Starmer last November for failing to disclose the extent of his links to the disgraced financier. The documents include what appear to be bank statements in which Epstein made payments to Mandelson or his husband, totaling $75,000 over a 2-year period in 2003 and 2004. In the first statement, a payment appears to have been made to Reynaldo Avila da Silva, that's Lord Mandelson's husband, for $25,000 with Lord Mandelson, Peter Mandelson here, listed with the abbreviation BEN, typically meaning beneficiary in banking terms. In the second statement, Lord Mandelson is listed as the direct recipient of $25,000. As in the third statement, just 4 days later, a second payment of $25,000 direct to Lord Mandelson, $75,000 in total. These statements come a day after it emerged that Epstein loaned Lord Mandelson's husband $10,000 in 2009 to fund his training as an osteopath. And just a few months later, emails in which Lord Mandelson told Epstein he was trying hard to soften government regulation on taxing bankers' bonuses in response to a request from Epstein himself. Also released still photographs of Lord Mandelson wearing only a T-shirt and underpants talking to a woman in a bathrobe whose identity has been concealed. It's not clear when or where the photograph was taken or indeed who took it. A spokesperson for Lord Mandelson said no one can say who or where the photo was taken. Lord Mandelson has absolutely no idea or indeed whether it has any connection.
And just like Alan Dershowitz, Lord Mandelson kept his underpants on. Just as Alan Dershowitz also did throughout the duration of his involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile island.
To Epstein at all. Peter Mandelson questions the authenticity of the supposed bank documents. He cites false attribution of a United States Social Security number, questionable dollar check payments into UK banks, incorrect beneficiary details, and errors in dates and spelling. He told Sky News there are also multiple formatting errors in the documents, and I would like JP Morgan to confirm on the record that they are certain these documents are authentic and that the individual checks are also authentic. Until this fact-checking has been achieved, I maintain my original position, which is that I have no record and no recollection of ever receiving these sums and that these statements are false.
So you don't believe the victims, the survivors of this. You don't believe these women, now women, they were children then.
No, I do not.
You don't believe that when they came forward to the FBI or the police department that this was real.
They're all in it for popularity and money.
I don't believe the story. I did read about the baby that supposedly the uncle and all that.
So you deny the survivors.
Why hasn't this
Yeah, Bob's got the hat on. I know.
been brought out before?
2 reasons. Under Biden, I'll say it again, it was an active investigation, so they legally could not release any of this information. Now under Trump, we're not getting the information because he's actively hiding it from you. They have redacted. Some of these things are, there's like a picture I remember.
For the record, I don't think this is entirely correct. I think this is a liberal defense. Not all of it. Obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell case complicates things a little bit, but this investigation, even prior to Ghislaine Maxwell, could have been released. And not only that, but there were so many different files that they could have released regardless that was not pertinent to the Ghislaine Maxwell case at all. And not only that, but also there was a lot of appetite for the release of this information because one of the Epstein affiliates, ironically enough, who was in direct contact with Jeffrey Epstein a lot, broke the story to the Daily Wire leading up to the election, talking about how Jeffrey Epstein was a lot more connected to Donald Trump than we previously had thought, and the liberals completely refused to cover it. I remember at the time because I talked about it at the time, and I know Kyle Kulinski talked about it at the time. We all kept talking about how ridiculous it was that the Democrats were instead leaning into the Clintons rather than exposing the Epstein-Trump connection.
One that's like Epstein in the middle, and it has little lines branching out to his co-conspirators. They are all blacked out. They're protecting the co-conspirators. Then there's a whole page of 32 victims that have their photos, names, and addresses.
Why would they do that?
For fame and money.
Who's doing it for fame and money?
The women.
The victims? The children?
The victims.
Can you name one of them?
No.
No.
Then I guess they didn't get that fame.
Well, they ain't that far up the pole yet, are they?
To fight for aid to Israel, all the aid that Israel needs.
Come on, Bob. Don't wear the hat while you're saying those things, man. Yes, I did mail him the hat. Yes, I mailed Bob the hat. That is the thing that I did. I leveled him up. Now he feels more comfortable with his MAGA stuff. It only gave him more confidence. Now that he has the big old hat on, now that he has the big ass hat on, he's just more confident than ever before. Everywhere but the U.S., there are consequences. Yeah, Slovakia's Prime Minister, Slovakia PM's National Security Advisor resigns over Epstein links. Crazy that in the rest of the world, the Epstein files are actually having consequences, but in America, no one seems to be affected. He's bringing shame to the Ultra MAGA hat. That's also a good point. Also, here's another good point. Jeffrey Epstein had a conversation in 2013 with Ehud Barak about Palantir. Palantir signed its first contracts with the Israeli government in 2014 and opened an office in Tel Aviv in 2015. I wonder which country Jeffrey Epstein was working with.
Companies look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks there under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir. Pallen. Tier. Palantir is Peter Thiel's company. And look out.
Palantir, Palantir?
Yes.
IER? Palantir? Will we be able to surveil the Palestinians better with this new technology? And did he misspell it? I didn't even pay attention to that. What? Will this help us identify Hamas babies? Palantir? No politic here. Palantir.
Hiell.
Thiel.
Yeah. LLY.
No. Thiell.
What?
Okay.
So he thought that
he goes, okay, Jeffrey, you are not very good at spelling.
Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you.
Okay.
He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, that's what they pay Larry $1 million a year. Just to advise them.
Andreas and?
Andreessen, Andreessen.
That every part of this is wrong. Oh my God. He can't spell anything. Yeah, another one of my ops, Egghead Mark Andreessen. Also, I am beginning to notice that I've collected the worst ops of all time. Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen. Luckily, I don't think Jeff Bezos knows who I am. Inshallah, he will never know. I don't think Peter Thiel knows who I am. I'm actually kind of terrified of Peter Thiel, so I hope he doesn't know who the fuck I am. But I got the worst fucking ops, dude. It is crazy. In 2015, Bannon's least legal residence was found abandoned with massive damage. Oh yeah, I remember that, including a hot tub damaged by acid. Neighbors reported a steady stream of partiers and recording of pornography. I remember that. Oh my God, you think Steve Bannon was doing some Epstein shit and like melted bodies in the hot tub? Or not hot tub, in the bathtub? Oh my God, I totally forgot about that, dude. Until this moment. You're right. Trigger warning. Yeah. Entire jacuzzi bathtub seems to have been covered in acid. Bannon's landlord wrote, I'm out of town. Is there any way you can talk with Diana, sort things out? Damage was estimated to be more than $14,000. Neighbors said Bannon was not living at the home and that Clohessy was the main resident who had a steady stream of disruptive visitors. Clohessy had become involved in an undercover investigation of a jail guard who was suspected of smuggling drugs and contraband into the imprisoned friend of hers. The report details. Washington Post reported a story on Saturday investigating counselor to the president Steve Bannon's legal residence since no one really knows where he lives. But the course of that investigation, they uncovered something that is even more disturbing. A hot tub at the house where Bannon claimed to live looked like it was filled with acid. Bannon's ex-wife Diane was the one residing there. Neighbors told the Post they'd never seen Bannon near the house. The theory is that Bannon claimed to live in Florida because the state does not have an income tax, therefore allowing him to avoid paying taxes of his earnings. Wait, Clinton is there going to testify? Clinton's capitulate the House Epstein inquiry, agreeing to testify. Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's go. Yeah, Mark Andreessen and Peter Thiel are both mentioned by Jeffrey Epstein in this email or in this correspondence with Ehud Barak. Also happened to be, and Elon Musk too. They're all Joe Rogan Experience guests. Have you guys noticed that? The only guy that seemingly is scot-free of any involvement with the Epsteins is Mark Zuckerberg and maybe Jeff Bezos, which is kind of surprising. Is there like an anti-pedophile coalition of billionaires? Because Mark Zuckerberg, for all of my anger and resentment towards him, he is an alien, but he's also like a wife guy. Steve Jobs, he died. Well, I guess he could have met him before he died. Oh my God, the bar is so low. I just realized the bar is so low for billionaires that we're like, well, at least this billionaire didn't meet with an international pedophile sex trafficker. Wow. The standards, man. The standards for being a redeemable billionaire is if you are not tapped in with the elite pedophilic cabal.
Horowitz. And Howard. H-O-R-O. Horowitz. 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 Yes.
Horowitz.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are doing? They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon.
Jeffrey, you are not very good at doing spelling. Jeffrey, why?
Valley. What, bigger than Sequoia or Kleiner Perkins?
These are the new Kleiner Perkins. Everybody, these are the smart boys.
Yeah.
The Epstein experience. Joe Rogan podcast, check it out. The Joe Rogan experience. Oh my God, it's so real. Zuckerberg is in it, Sag. I mean, is that surprising? Come on. In August 2nd, 2016, Epstein mentioned having dinner that night with Musk, Thiel, and Zuckerberg. Remember how they were all at Trump's 25th? Oh, God. I mean, it makes sense. I thought maybe Zuckerberg was a wife guy, so he didn't actually deal with Epstein. Dude, every rabid anti-communist is on this list. It's so funny. The Jeff Epstein saga isn't a scandal about pedophilia. It's about a Russian word called blat, a Soviet-era word meaning the use of personal networks for obtaining goods and services in short supply and for circumventing formal procedures. It's about a kind of government. As with a large number of blatniks in the Soviet era who made sure their factories got what they needed outside of the formal state procurement process, Epstein greased the wheels for the neoliberal state. His job was governance. What does that mean? Well, it's clear that Epstein was an entrepreneurial broker across multiple public and private bureaucracies, helping organize under-the-table deals among the legal, business, intelligence, and political elites to allow them to escape the rule of law and traditional conflict of interest restrictions. It's statecraft to allow a superclass to systematically escape the formalized rules. The pedophilia and prostitution were a part of it. That's obviously violating the rule of law, but so are the random favors that Epstein bestowed. I have talked about this as well. The pedophilia aspect of Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with all the financial elite is obviously the one that like everyone hyper focuses on. But if you recall, I've talked about this time and time again, the paper trails and the numerous other financial crimes and political incidents that Jeffrey Epstein played a role in is the larger story that is getting left out of the conversation. You know who's not in the files? Joseph Stalin. True. Stalin vindicated. Stalin vindicated. You know who else wasn't in the files? Lenin as well. Oh yeah, I've seen this already. Epstein, you should make clear that I don't work for Mossad, smile. Ex-Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. You or I. That I don't, smile. There you go, guys, says Abir. Hi, Jeff. Are you going to be in London on Thursday? Best, Ehud Barak. Unfortunately not. MBS, you should make clear I don't work for Mossad. Smile. Yo or I that I don't. Smile. Have you seen this handwritten one? What is this? This woman alleges Donald Trump was involved with Jeffrey Epstein in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Epstein and the Saudis. She also claims that Trump forced her miscarriage after she got pregnant. See letter, entire 32-page letter. What? Al Qaeda and ISIS confirm Mossad assets? Wait, no. What? Stop. What? Yes, there's a trade craft named for this administration's approach, clusterfuck. When China began building bases in South China Seas, we ran freedom of navigation cruises. This is a technical process that describes which ship systems are on and which systems are off. O orders it done. Pentagon sends over details, and Susan Rice views systematic on-off as a protocol, but as a menu of options. She overrules Pentagon and orders which system she wants on and off. In effect, White House diluted challenge for which freedom of navigation cruises were designed. He had a foreign policy strategy that was articulated at Cairo. It is a failed strategy, and he failed to change when its failure was clear. Would you like to hear what Ehud Barak thought when he first heard Cairo? Good example was complete withdrawal from Iraq, military, diplomatic, and economic, followed by passive support for Maliki, who then slaughtered Sunnis and made ISIS a rational alternative. Nusra, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Jabhat, Hamas, all leaders prefer Donald. Wild. They know Hillary. Turkey gives Nusra a heads up on Iraqi recruits, slaughter. Russia gives Erdogan a heads up on coup. U.S. gives a pass on ISIS to Palmyra. Assad has no support, so will stay. Nuclear base in Turkey, Soviet defense in Iran, Saudi in Yemen. Egypt about to lose all financial support. Jordan has 1 million refugees, as does Lebanon. Also, my guy Thoburn Jagland, Sea General Council of Europe, will be here that weekend as well. Yeah, till Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I don't like, this is not that shocking. I mean, he didn't say anything new. He didn't actually say anything new at all. This is stuff that I've talked about as well. And yes, a lot of world leaders do prefer Donald Trump to Democrats. I will say, as someone who is now at the heart of this, maneuvering, let me tell you, these guys absolutely prefer Donald Trump to the Democrats. It's crazy. I know it sounds insane, but they do. And the reason for why they do is because at least they can buy Donald Trump.